Today we're going to be talking about what the pros and cons are of living in Mountain Home, Idaho versus Boise, Idaho. Make sure you guys stay tuned. I'm going to give you tons of value and make sure you guys know exactly what you need to do as far as planning for your big move. Guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am a United States Air Force veteran that actually was stationed at Mountain Home Air Force Base for the last 6 years. And even if you're not military affiliated, this is still going to be a good video for you guys. We're going to talk about living in Boise or living in a more rural area such as Mountain Home. So let's dive into it. So guys, during my time in the military, I actually was stationed at Mountain Home, and truth story, didn't even know where the heck Idaho was. I thought I was going overseas, and I always tell people that, but it just so happens that Idaho is actually in the United States. So the more you learn. I was only 18 at the time. Don't make too much fun of me, but if you guys are getting a good laugh at it, I'm glad we accomplished that. Now, for those of you guys that are PCSing that would like a helpful resource, I do have something really cool for you guys. If you are acquainted with Facebook or do use Facebook, we have a link in the description below of a Facebook group we created just for people PCSing the Mountain Home Air Force Base that you can join and get tons of information as far as off-base housing, renting, buying, selling, all that fun stuff. So make sure you guys check that out. So if you guys are anything like me, you're probably doing research on Mountain Home, and truthfully, there's not a ton of stuff. You've probably seen 15 of my videos pop up because I really feel like not a lot of people talk about Mountain Home, but they do talk about Boise. So we're gonna hit Mountain Home first and then we'll dive into Boise. Now, the pros and cons of Mountain Home specifically is it is only 45 minutes away as far as from Mountain Home to the base itself. So that's gonna be a huge thing or a huge bonus for a lot of people living in Mountain Home that work on Mountain Home Air Force Base. But another pro is going to be, you will notice that it is a lot quieter. It has significantly less going on. Now, one thing you will appreciate about Mountain Home is that it is a lot less congested than Boise as well. As you know, or as you may not know, Boise is actually the #1 populated city in the entire state of Idaho with over 230,000 people living here. And I mean, as gorgeous and as big as Boise is, there's just a lot of people that live here, and it is becoming a little overwhelming even for the locals. A lot of people complain and are actually moving away from Boise to areas like Mountain Home because it is a lot less congested and there's a lot less going on, and they can actually drive to Boise and back, and it's relatively not that bad of a drive. That's going to be another pro that we're going to talk about today, is that it is literally a 35, maybe 40-minute drive from Mountain Home to Boise. And depending on what time of day you're driving, if you're driving with traffic, that may add 5-10 minutes. If you're driving against traffic, then it's going to be just smooth sailing, so you won't have to worry about that much. Now, one of the cons that we're going to hit on is that there is a limit as far as amenities, entertainment, things to do. That is going to be probably one of the biggest cons for a lot of people. So what do people do instead is they actually end up traveling to Boise on the weekends, come out, have a good time, enjoy some of the parks. This is actually Simplot Park right here. This is where they do a lot of the kids sports. There's some great walking paths, biking paths, all of the above. So really great area in general, but for those of you guys that are maybe concerned as far as what to do, most people are okay with living in Mountain Home because they're also okay with just enjoying this area on the weekends and then being close to work so they don't have to worry about the commute back and forth. So that is going to be one of the pros, is just shorter commute, less population, and then con, less amenities, less entertainment. Now, another pro is going to be the fact that pricing wise for real estate, just so you guys know, I am a licensed real estate agent here in the Idaho, and I do service both Mountain Home, Boise, and all the surrounding areas around there. So if you guys are interested in purchasing a home or would like to tell me more about your current situation, don't be like the other viewers that watch my videos and then see me in person and say, dang, I wish I would have hit you up. I didn't know. But you know what I'm saying? You know where I'm going with this. Anyways, call me, text me, email me. The best thing to do is call me so we can get on the phone quickly, or if you prefer to email me and give me a full breakdown of your situation, that's also great, but you'll see my information below. Now, getting back to it, the Mountain Home market as far as real estate goes is significantly cheaper than the Boise market. There is a median price point right now in Mountain Home of $360,000, which, side note guys, just so you know, interest rates are dropping right now, but even with that, the prices have calmed down a little bit from earlier in the year where they were sitting at 375, climbing into 380s. So we are seeing that prices are a little better for a lot of you guys that may be moving here in the very near future. Remember, this is a video made in 2025 if you are watching this. So that may have changed by then, by the time you're watching this. But Boise's market is also Boise's market is going to be fluctuating in the $600,000 price range. So the same house that you're getting in Mountain Home that you're purchasing here in Boise, you may pay an additional $150,000 to $200,000 for the same quality of house. So for a lot of people, that can kind of be jaw-dropping, but maybe it's worth it for you. Maybe you're looking for better school districts than the Mountain Home, or maybe just more diversity, or maybe just getting away from the small town life and more towards the bigger city, this may make a lot more sense for you and your family. So depending on what that is, I would just make sure that you guys take that into consideration. So you don't have a ton of options. Now, living in the Boise and surrounding areas, you do have the city of Boise, you do have the city of Meridian, you have the city of Kuna, and depending on where you live, you may even end up in some of the best school districts. Now, the best school district, as far as from our clients' experiences and from tons of research that you can do on your own. Now, here's what Mountain Home does have, because I know I'm talking a lot about what Boise has. Mountain Home does have your necessities. That's what I like to call it. You're going to have your typical Walmart, you're gonna have an Albertsons. You also have a grocery outlet, which is another shopping kind of grocery store that you're gonna enjoy. But in addition to that, you do have Taco Bell, McDonald's. Taco Bell, by the way, just opened up a couple years ago, and when they first opened it up, I'm not even joking when I say this, there was literally a line for like 3 months to get Taco Bell. I say this and I don't know like why this actually happened. It's actually unbelievable to me, but yes, there was a line when Taco Bell opened. And I think this happens for anything that comes to Mountain Home. It's just such a big celebratory thing. Now, I will say, with that being said, they are growing, they are developing, they are bringing more cool stuff, which also helps a ton as far as for people that are looking for an up and coming area, but maybe not too much growth too fast. One thing that we do get asked about all the time when it comes to Mountain Home is that, hey, I heard that they're potentially building a casino. That's been potentially happening for the last 5 years, and potentially nobody's saying anything as far as it's actually gonna get approved or not. So potentially we will see what happens, if you guys catch my drift here. So with that being said, there may be a casino, there may not be. It may be in the next 10 years, it may be in the next 50 years, it may be in the next lifetime. We just don't know what's actually gonna happen with that. But just know one thing we can depend on is they are building a ton of houses, they are building a ton of new development as far as infrastructure to be able to support the town. But for the most part, Mountain Home is still gonna be that small, lovable town that everyone knows, or at least has known it to be. And even the people that have lived here. So I always feel like Mountain Home is just gonna have that small town vibe, at least for the next 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. So a lot more to come with that, but getting back into it, let's talk about some of the cons of Mountain Home. We talked about how it has less amenities, less entertainment, not a ton of options as far as that goes. Another con is going to be that you do still have 4-season weather, and this is going to relate to Boise and the surrounding areas as well. So for those of you that are not well equipped or not prepared for winter, get ready, because you just never know how hard it's gonna hit. The year before I actually got here back in 2017, I guess they had Snowmageddon is what they called it, where it was the worst, one of the worst winters they've ever had in history in the state of Idaho. And I just so fortunately missed out on that. But we've also seen some winters where they only had a week of snow, which was literally last year. We didn't have a white Christmas. We had just 1 week of snow the week after Christmas, and then it was all dry and gone. So it really depends on how Mother Nature is feeling and global warming and all those fun things that everyone likes to talk about. In addition to that, there's also another con, which is going to be that you do have limited inventory. I know we kind of hit on the real estate market a little bit as far as what you can get price point wise, but what we didn't hit on is that there's not a ton of markets available on the market right now. I will say we did just hit 150, which is the most houses I've ever seen on the market since becoming a real estate agent, which is quite a while now. Earlier this year, for reference, we were just at that 80 to 90 range, and then now we're sitting at over 150. So pretty big difference there, almost double, but we're not there yet. So there is more options, but still small town, not a ton of options. A lot of those are going to be new construction builders, and just so you guys know, new construction builders are throwing out crazy promotions right now because it is getting ready to head into fourth quarter, and even beginning of the year, they typically have some really good promotions as well. And a lot of people go that route because the average price point of new construction homes right now is actually lower than resale homes, because some people need to make their money or whatever their case may be. There might be a situation where they just need a little more bang for the buck or want to get interest rates covered, and builders are just offering things like that. So might be a lot more beneficial when it comes to that. Now, here's one more thing I want to throw in there. This isn't a con, but this is actually a pro. Mountain Home is probably one of the most military pro towns I've ever seen since joining the military. Regardless of all the TDYs or all the other bases I visited, Mountain Home simply just does it best when it comes to supporting the military. And I really think that just comes from, they know that if Mountain Home wasn't here, that the city itself, the town, would be non-existent. It gets a ton of support. They actually just did Air Force Appreciation Day parade, which was super cool. And that is one thing that they do a lot in unison with the base, is they throw a lot of cool events. They do a lot of great things, a lot of collaboration. So that is one thing to look forward to as far as the town itself, because it's filled with retirees, it's filled with veterans, it's filled with people that didn't want to leave Mountain Home because they love it so much, or simply moved over to Boise Meridian, kind of like I did. So I do live in Meridian, just so you guys know, but I do help people more in Mountain Home than we do help here. I just have a preference of living in the city since I'm not tied to the base anymore. Now, let's talk about Boise and the surrounding areas, since we're kind of diving into that topic now. Boise is absolutely beautiful. As you guys can kind of see, you have tons of hills, tons of mountains, tons of parks, tons of people driving behind me and waving and honking at me. It's just all types of fun. Now, huge pro for Boise and Mountain Home is that you have some of the friendliest people. Everyone is going to be super respectful. They say thank you, they say you're welcome, they open the door for you. They're not rude, which is probably one of my favorite things about living in Idaho in general. So just a big pro there. But a pro about Boise is going to be that you just have endless things to do. You have all the surrounding cities. If you're an outdoor recreation person, which is something I didn't hit on Mountain Home, it is in a great location for all those things because it is so close to everything from Box Canyon to Anderson Dam to the sand dunes. You have so many great amenities and locations nearby. In addition to that, Boise is the same way, right? You have Bogus Basin, which you can actually kind of see in the background. It's kind of hard to point to it, but Bogus Basin is where you could go snowboarding, you can go skiing during the winter, and of course, tubing, I should say. I was gonna say tire tubing. You can go tubing, and then you also have the summer options of where you can go hike. You have a ton of parks from Camelbacks to Ann Morrison. I will say one thing that Boise does exceptionally well is that they throw events all year long. Once again, coming back to the Facebook thing, if you guys go on Facebook, you can literally see the hundreds of events that they do every single year. Also, we do have something in the video description in addition to the Facebook groups. It is a moving to Boise relocation guide. It talks about everything Boise that you guys may want to know if you're deciding to live here instead of Mountain Home. Let me know what you guys think so far. I'm just curious, are you guys wanting to live in Mountain Home, or are you guys thinking about moving to Boise? Just curious, just for my idea as far as content that we're putting out. We would like to help you guys get more of what you would like to see. Put it in the comments. So, coming back to it, you just have so much to do here as far as amenity wise. Now, another big thing is it is extremely pro family. I mean, there's kids running all over the place. I kind of showed you guys the park earlier. They're literally playing their soccer. They have an Optimist League is what they call it here. I can see the kids, they're playing flag football. You have soccer, you have baseball, and just a bunch of kids running around throwing whatever that is, a frisbee, throwing that around. So tons of great things as far as area-wise all over the area to do. Next pro is going to be, I know we kind of touched on it already, but I'm just going to touch on it again, is going to be the school district options. You just have tons of options, especially if you have someone that maybe wants to be in a more academic-driven school district or athletic-driven school environment, or maybe you just want additional competition. That's also going to be a reason why a lot of people end up living here rather than in the Mountain Home area. Now, on top of that, you do have other things that are really going for Boise. Another big, huge pro for a lot of folks with families or maybe just significant others, you do have a ton of employment opportunities in Boise where Mountain Home is extremely limited. So that's going to be one con list for Mountain Home and another pro list for Boise. Most people that do live in Mountain Home do end up working on base or at the cheese factory or Walmart. And those aren't necessarily, or in addition to that, I don't want to leave this out, you do have St. Luke's and Banks and all that as well. But you're very limited is what I'm getting at here. And in the Boise area, you have tons of different things, from even going to BSU, right? If your spouse is in school, they have a college that they can attend, or if they're looking for a law office or dentist office, or some of the biggest hospitals are all here. So the top 3 fields that you'll typically see people get into employment-wise is going to be the medical field. It is also going to be the tech field. We have Micron. I guess you can't see it behind me, but Micron is literally expanding. They're huge with chips and electronics and all that fun stuff. And then you also have HP, and you have a ton of other things. And then the third one is going to be retail. So retail is very big here. Man, we even have a ton of local companies that are growing, or franchises that are moving over, kind of like I was talking about earlier, from Topgolf to In-N-Out to et cetera, Raising Cane's. I'm a big Raising Cane's fan. I don't know about you guys, but let me know if you like Raising Cane's in the comments. Let me know. So you just have a ton of different things that are available employment-wise for you guys. And this job market is absolutely booming. We're growing so fast here. There's only more and more support needed, especially in the construction world. Good God, they're building so much. The roads is gonna be a con. That's gonna be a con I add. The roads, hazards everywhere. You might get a couple flat tires here and there. I literally was driving in Nampa the other day and I got a flat tire. I think this is like my 4th flat. Maybe I also, because it's now, mind you, I drive around a lot in new construction neighborhoods, a lot of nails in my tires. Makes a lot of sense. So maybe that may not happen to you guys, but I also hit a pothole the other day, which absolutely blew the crap out of my tire. So that was a good time. But you do have a ton of tire shops, so that is gonna be a pro. Now, another pro is you do have a ton of housing inventory here, which I said Mountain Home does not. Boise, you do have 1,500 homes alone that are available single family wise, and then Meridian, Kuna, add in all those other cities surrounding the area. You have just so many different options to choose from, and that's also gonna be super, super helpful when it comes to you finding housing. Now, one downside to that is rentals and things of that nature here are actually reflecting what you would literally pay for a mortgage out here. So a lot of people are deciding to buy because rent's getting so high, and rent is going up as there's higher demand for people as they continue to move here, which is going to lead us to the next con and pro, is that there's a ton of growth in Boise as we continue to grow. A lot of people are coming over here from California, Oregon, Texas, Washington, New Jersey, everywhere. Like anyone that can move anywhere, Boise's just been one of those areas where it's just going to be one of the most traffic driven when people are picking a place to live. Now, something else I want to add in there, a huge pro, is that Boise was actually voted the #2 best city as far as quality of life. And that means people are happier here. And I think there's a reason why. It's just a lot cleaner here. You don't see a lot of trash in the streets. Homeless population is exceptionally low. And as far as homeless people know, just so you guys know, for reference, you probably will literally be able to memorize every single homeless person and where they stay corner-wise, because that's how many there are. There's just not a ton. Even if you don't visit the city enough, you know which ones are in downtown, you know which ones are under the highway, but that's pretty much all we got. That's it. Not a lot of homeless, so huge plus there. So I think it just continues to add to why people are friendly, why everyone's moving to the area, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse. I think you guys get the point here. So con-wise is going to be that there is traffic congestion, and those are typically around that 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. time frames when people are getting to work, and also that 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. when people are getting off of work. That's usually when you're going to see the most traffic congestion. But for the most part, outside of that, it's not too bad. People absolutely love living here. A lot of people don't really complain unless they really don't buy in or kind of stay at home all day. Those are usually the people that complain and probably move out of here, which is, you know, to each their own, right? But if you really get out and enjoy the events and enjoy meeting people and love socializing and love fitness and love outdoor recreation, this spot is going to be absolutely perfect for you. So if you guys have any questions and you didn't already, and you're still watching this video and you haven't reached out to me, yes, I'm talking to you specifically, reach out to me. Once again, I am a real estate agent, and regardless if you're thinking about buying or just renting in the meantime, I would love for you guys to reach out and give me a breakdown of your current situation. You're gonna see my cell phone and email. Call me, text me, or email me. Let me know what's going on so I can help you guys. Also, do me a huge favor, press the subscription button right there, and if you press the bell at the top of the screen, you'll get notified when we make more amazing videos like this. Love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. See you guys on the next one.